folks, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're in the mission challenges and we're doing the human comedy. We're doing the final test, even though I haven't completed them all. I'm waiting for the right card to come available for the classic one. So we're doing Lago Maggiore today, and we are going to be using the FT1 VGT GT3. It's Toyota. As you can see, running racing mediums, and it's bopped, so you can't change anything. We could run hards if we want to, but we need to run quick laps and go long. Fuel is the limiting factor in this one. You can run a slower speed, try and reduce your pit stops, but the critical thing is most people say that this is the hardest race out of the entire lot, and I, to a degree, have to agree. Settings will be traction control 1, default ABS, everything else off, and as we go through this, folks, I'll talk you through it and let you know how I felt, how I changed things, how I decided what I chose to do when we're starting the race. So I've tried this 4 or 5 times. I've not actually saved the result. So here we come. This particular car, Power 1. I found the AI to be quite unruly, quite rough. So I'm from the start going to give it the beans, and I'm going to give them their own medicine. So you've got to know the track. You've got to be able to run the corners. The gearing on this car is slightly different to others. You can run a lower gear around corners, and it accelerates really, really well through the mid-range. So I think you can do this with any car in the GR3 range. It's just how you approach it. So we've gone up 2 places. That was the 3rd overtake, sorry. We're halfway around the first lap, well, 1/3 of the way around the first lap. This one's an interesting change down to 3rd. Run these curbs and then just push on nicely after this car. It's slowed down there, you see that? Wait for the next lap. We're going to have this boy. So, as with most of the other races, the ultimate thing here is to just keep pushing. Don't give them a moment. You can see we're 4.3 seconds from first place, and they are all in front of us. Here we go, down the inside. Use all those rumbles. We're not going to give up. We're just going to push them. Didn't make many gains there. The R8 on the left hand side just blocked us nicely, and we used the car on the right hand side to force our way through. So we're up to 7th. You have to make progress in this way. The aim is to get in, mix it up, and knock them off their strategy. I've tried running long. You're too slow. You have to get up to the front as quickly as you can. And it will look at certain times entirely that we're wasting our time. It will look like we should quit occasionally and just give up and go back to the start. So I advise you don't. Here we go then, 1 lap down, we're in 7th place, and that was a 2:05, the starting lap. We really need to be running under 2-minute laps. Ideally 1:58s would be good, 1:57s would be brilliant, 1:56s a little bit out of my range. The expectation is that we get to the front and we try and run an extra lap. If you're running 2-minute laps, it's an hour of a race. You want to be running 30 laps minimum. Here we go, braking nicely down the inside. Lean on them when they're on their outside. Lean on them, use them. Get the traction down quicker. Now I'm using traction control 1. You can be faster on this course without using traction control, but I don't have the subtlety. My right foot is an on-off switch. It's either giving it everything or it's off. And coming through there, I'll let the traction control balance the throttle because my brain doesn't have that capacity. I'm a bit vulgar with the throttle, but there we go. See that? Up to 3rd place. We took the opportunity to get past them boys. Traffic caused their own problems, and we're now 4 seconds off the lead of first place. All that happened there was the other cars were holding us up. If you get past them and get past them quickly, you can make your way to the front. So if you've got to the end of the 2nd lap and you're not in this sort of position, consider restarting. Because I don't think you can do it without being able to push on and get the traffic out of the way. So see how much I robbed on that corner there, got really well over. You can really take some liberties with this course for cutting. Now, I'm not saying it's legal. It's just they seem to have missed a few cuts, to be honest. You can really get into that corner there. You get a little bit of a warning for running out wide on the right hand side, but you really got to run that hard in fourth gear. So 1:57.6, that's a good lap time for the second place, for being in third place. We're making progress, you've got to keep it going. So let's just measure where we are in the fuel. So strategy wise, I've already told you that the one stopper ain't going to work. I've tried it 3 times, it's not going to cut it. You can't run fast enough and you have to reduce fuel. I haven't really found a car that's good enough to run 15-16 laps with the tyres on mediums and maintain the speed that you have to do 2-minute laps on. Because not forgetting 2 minutes laps and a good 40-second pit stop if you're going to do a one stopper, you've really got to put pressure on, and I don't think the tyres can handle it. I don't think I can do those laps, at least anyway. So here we go, we're into second place now. We're 4.2 seconds off the lead, and we just got to keep pushing now. If we keep it in 1:57s, not forgetting we've got a full tank. The car's capable of doing around 13 laps. If we can do 13 laps on this first stint, we're going to short fuel 9 laps. If we've done 13, that will take us to 22. And then if we run 9 laps again in the final session, we can run 30 laps. 31 laps. The idea is that we do 31 laps, because I've had a sneaky look and I've looked at the end, and the leaders, the winners of this race, do 31 laps. But we've got to be quick. We've got to keep the 1:57s going. If we can get into the 1:56, ultimately we're going to make up that difference and we're going to get that extra lap in. But if we say 13, 9 and then 8, that will be what, 13, 9, 22, that'll be 30 laps. So it's 13, 9 and 9. So we'll only refuel to about 75% fuel on both stops, which would be awesome. We know that if we want to run 30 laps and win the race, we could actually short fuel 1 lap at the end, just to give us a bunch to get in front. But I wasn't calculating it that way, because I think I've made a calculation error halfway through, but I'll talk you through it when we get there. But we're going to try and 2-stop it, and that's where we're going to go. We're going to run 10 laps, 10 laps, 11 laps maybe. But I knew I did that last time and it didn't kind of work. We need to get the advantage, and I think the advantage is we're running those 3 laps at the end, 13 laps out of this car. So you sort of get into the AI's pit windows and you start to mess them up. So here we go, we're just sort of hanging into the first place guys. Mr. Yamanaka, he's 4.5 seconds clear, he's gained half a second on us on this lap. If this is purple now, we know we're keeping up with him. Yes, we are, by a 10th. So we are actually on track. We did a 1:57.6, a 1:57.8, this will be a 1:57.5 if we keep it going. But as it is, I know pretty much my consistency is a bit poor. Please excuse me today folks, I've got the most raging, horrific sore throat, cold. I actually completed this test whilst coughing and spluttering like a good one, and I've got a nice cold drink here just to keep my throat lubricated. I haven't actually had a coughing fit just yet, but if I do when I go quiet, I apologise. I will try and blank it out in the sound. I might not have done it very effectively over the last couple of videos, but here we go, looking for a 1:57.5 would be nice. So 1:57.9, we're keeping the 1:57s going, that's great. We're 4.8 seconds down. We are only a second ahead of third place, which is Mr. Rubilar, who I believe is in the BMW. Mr. Inostra is in the Porsche. Mr. Beauvoir, who is always a top tree guy, he's always at the front, somewhere near, is in the Mercedes, which I don't own yet. And there's also another car I don't own, but I need to ask you folks a question. Porsche 908 flat car. The wedge one, the blue Gulf striped wedge one that is in the intro to Gran Turismo, where is that car? I know the Chaparral is a good car for the classic race here in the human comedy, but I don't want to run the car that everybody else wants. I want the Porsche 908 vintage flat car. but I can't find it, and I was just wondering whether it's something I don't know about, whether it hasn't been released yet, whether it potentially is a later release. It's in the videos, I know it's in the game, but I don't know where it is. Here we go, just come through the timing zone there. We're just bobbing down. There's almost 10 minutes gone of the race, and we're sitting in second place. We're keeping it on the old fuel setting 1. Tyres are really showing some wear. 5 laps in. Got a real good cut into that corner there. No penalty either. Did you notice? Keep one set of tyres, one left-hand set of tyres. Going to take a cut there. Always keep one set of tyres within the boundaries. You're going to take a couple of cuts later in the race, and you're going to think, holy hell, how did you manage that? But they're not something I'd exploit every lap. But if we want to go fast, maybe we can. Just resting my throat with a bit of an ice cube. Ran a little bit too long there. Let's look in my mirror. Guy behind us keeping us honest. Mr. Rubberlaw, he is pushing along. Guy up front's just taken another half a second out of us. He's now 5.3 ahead. He was 5.4 ahead when I last looked, but here we go. Get some acceleration down here. We can see him. It gives us a goal. It gives us the challenge. Let's keep up to him. Let's try and catch him up. Just keeping an eye on the beamer behind. He is generally pushing. Now here's the thing. We are aiming to break the momentum of the lead car. We do not want to let this guy past. If he comes past us, we have to get past him again very, very quickly. We do not want to suddenly run in his trail and then be not running the pace we want. We are on our own strategy, pushing for 13, maybe 13 laps, probably 14 if we can do a bit of lift and coast, but that's not the end. It's not the intention. The idea is to run as long as possible. And just as you know, the fuel gauge isn't entirely accurate with the laps remaining. It all depends on how you drive, and it seems to auto balance itself out. So if you start getting aggressive, it'll start disappearing. I think I know you've got this far in the game. You know what's going on. Well, you're not daft. So here we go, coming to the end of lap 6, and we are really doing well compared to previous attempts. We don't hold the fastest lap of the race anymore. That's with Mr. Rubilar. He's just almost into the 156s. Oh, I've just had to lift there. I was running really, really wide. Just be careful. Tyres are just starting to give the indicator that they're actually going to be past their best very soon. Braking halfway between those last 2 signs. Black signs over the track. Get into this corner, push out again. 7.2 laps remaining. That tells me we're on for 13 laps definitely, but if you add the two together, 7.1 and 7, you'll make the mistake of thinking that's going to be 14 laps. That was my mistake. It would be 7 plus 6, which is 13. So let's see how I go. We're actually in the purples there by 0.009. We are just the 100th in front of our previous fastest lap, so our fastest is some half a second slower than Rubilar's, and I'm expecting to see him in the mirror somewhere, but he has trailed off the back of the BMW behind us. Guy in front is 5.2 ahead, so he's just keeping that distance, healthy distance from us. We can see him, but we can't actually challenge him. So just looking at the map in the top right hand corner at the spread of the opposition, we need to start thinking about potentially where we're going to come out in the pits. In some 6 laps time, we are going to be diving into the pits. I'm expecting, and I know this because I've run the race a couple of times, these guys are going to run a 2-stopper. I'm not really sure which ones are running the single stop, and I don't think they make a particular mistake on pitting. Nobody pops in for a short fill, I don't think, in the last 3 or 4 laps. So we're aiming to get in front of these guys, run the overcut by running longer. If they're better than us, they will undercut us and run quicker on newer tyres but heavier fuel. We're going to attempt to run faster laps with less fuel whilst they pit and keep it going. So we're going to try and be fast on the fuel. So our lap times in the last 3 laps, we have just dropped into the 158s. We've got a 158.006, a 158.9, which is an entire second slower, but then we get back on the gas and we're doing a 158.004. So in all means of things, we've got 5 laps out of 6 where we've run consistent, almost 157s. Excuse me a second. While I just quietly die, it's fine. Here we go, folks, coming up that back straight again. This for me is a challenging part of the circuit. Braking down to third. You lose the front end as you go into that corner. It's hard to keep that in check. And then I'm always worried about running wide and hitting that grass there. I know you can see inside the grass there is some some concrete runoffs, but I don't trust them for grip. So interesting point of the race there. That's 15 minutes in. That's 25% gone. We've run 8 laps. We're on the 8th lap with 5.7 left in the tank. Kind of expecting any 3 stoppers, and if we were on softs we'd be considering stopping on 3 stopping now. The challenge for me though is to run what I consider as the thirds race. We run at 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes, but I kind of discounted that theory by trying to run this first session long. But here's the thing, if Mr. Yamanaka decides that he's going to pit on the 15 minute or on the 20, we could follow him and just keep it in range, because we know he's going to be quick, we know he's going to be at the front of the pack, and if we keep him in range we're pretty good. Look, we've got him down to 5.3. Car behind us is still within a second, but he's pacing off us. His race pace is affected by us being in front of him. He can't get past us, but he's blocking. We're running our own pace. That was another 158 we just did, but it's 158.6, so it was half a second slower. Guy in front's just pulled out to 5.8. At the moment, not entirely sure that I'm worried about any situation we're in. Just got to keep an eye on the BMW. He might run past us. And there he is. Mr. Rubelar's now come into the distance behind us. He is probably within 2 seconds. Just watch this front end as we come in here. Keep it in tight. Keep those tyres on that rumble strip if you can. Don't go too wide of that rumble strip on the right hand side, because you will get a time penalty if you cut that corner. And you can run over the top of that orange strip if you want. I've tried to keep my front left 2 wheels just inside it. This is an interesting corner down here. This right-hander, if you brake on the 50, second gear will take you through them rumbles without any distress and get back on it. You can run it in third, but watch out for the gravel on the left-hand side. Do not go too far left on that corner. It will throw you off the track. And that one you can cut. I can actually cut that even further without a penalty. This one, you can get right in, put 2 wheels into the grass there, you're good. Again with this one, you can put 2 wheels into the grass just as we're doing there. No major dramas. 4.4 laps of fuel left, and we're just going to keep lap 9. So that will put us onto a 13 lap first pit, and that'll take us down to 0 fuel. So we're filling everything we've got, and we're going to fill back to 9 laps. That is the plan. That's what I think I've settled on as our best opportunity to take us to lap 23. Lap 23, then we'll fill with 8 laps to take us to lap 31, he says. Car behind us is at half a second. He's clearly no mirrors, and we run a little bit wide. Car in front is still in sight. He's still in sight, but he's pulling away. He's up to 6.4, so we've lost a second on him over the last 8 laps, which isn't too bad. We're keeping him within sight. Now, just to explain a little bit about the way this strategy is going to go. With a 9 lap than an 8 lap strategy, the car is going to be so much fresher on its tyres at the end of the stint. So we're doing 13 laps. We're going to kill these tyres properly. over 13 laps. We run full fuel, really heavy at the start of the race, which really does obliterate the tyres quite early. But we're going to run, this is the critical stint. Run it long, run the car empty, and then we only fill what we need. Looking at how the AI run this, they run it down to about 30%. They could go much longer, I think. They run it down to 30% and then just fill up to like 67% for their stints, and they're away. They never seem to fully fill, which gives you a feeling that they're getting faster pit stops, but it's generally not. You're not getting an unfair time, you're just filling up your car fuller. And that's what I realised after the second or third time of running this race. I didn't ever actually finish a race because I either got spun out by the AI. I made a mistake myself, and Mr. Yamanaka's in. He's just dived in there. Look, he's on 27% fuel. We're on 25. The guy behind, Mr. Rubelar, he's pitted. Mr. Beauvoir has pitted. Look at them. They're all roughly around the same percentage of fuel. Now we've got to run hard. They're going to come out heavy on a new set of mediums, and they're going to be running. But if we can run the same lap time as them, look at that. We ran a 158. A 159 in the last lap, so we know the tyres are going off. We just want to run 3 more laps with the ability to actually just keep it under 2 minutes. If we're keeping it under 2s, I don't think we're too bad. We know we're going to run a similar length stop to them, probably a little bit longer because we're going to fuel up for 9 laps, but we're quicker than they are because don't forget we've also come up from 12th place. We've actually been catching them, even though Mr. Yamanaka was actually pulling away for us, but by, I don't know, 2/10 a lap, we did really well to keep them in sight. But at this point, I'm thinking the 31 laps are on to get us to the top of the tree, probably challenge for the lot. I haven't made a mistake with my numbers yet, that pretty much I know, but I probably have. I was feeling confident that we're going to get where we need to be. Brake on the 50, down to second, dive in, take the curbs on the inside, push on. We need to make sure we're hitting these corners. I need to drink, it's my throat doing me. There we go, we're pushing on, folks. We're on lap 11. Front end really starting to wash out there. Not feeling very confident about the car's handling. I know we can get the power down, it's just turning into corners. It's starting to not give me much confidence. Do I pit this time is my question. Do I bring it in or do I keep pushing on? It's a shame because you see the time after you've chosen whether you stay in or stay out. It's quite clear we're staying out. We're in the 159.4s, so we've put in 2 159s, almost identical laps. That gives me the encouragement I need to go in. Mr. Igor Fraga has just pitted on 32% fuel. Mr. Wong, Mr. Fontana. Mr. Fontana, not a lot of fuel, 11%. Interesting. Now the person who's given me a lot of grief this race, as I've been running it a few times, is Mr. Grady there from England. Mr. Suswillow, don't see a lot of him through these old races. Well, let's just talk about where we're at then. So Mr. Inostra, where is he? Mr. Inostra, he is up to 4th place in the Porsche. He's doing really, really well. Mr. Cookbun, Mr. Miazano, they're all pushing on, but they're the long runners, those guys. They are going to run long, just like we're trying to. 1.9 laps to go in our tank, and we're on the 12th lap, so we're definitely going to get the next lap in. I don't think we'll get another. I think we're going to be stuck on 13. And this is where I've made my mistake, isn't it? I didn't do I'm not going to get the 14th lap. We're going to do 13 laps. I'm going to refuel for 9, which takes us to 22. Then I'm going to refuel for 8, which will take us to 30. My question is if we'd have run an extra lap, would we have been any faster? I don't think we would have. We'd have been running heavier on the last lap. We probably should have refueled to 10 laps on this second stint, and then filled to 8 on the last stint. That could have probably been it, you know. There's my plan to run the next set. If I run it again, I'll try 13, 10, 8. And that'll put us on 31 laps, but we have to be quick. I know, I don't think... I tried it. I tried running a race without traction control on. and I found it immensely hard. Well, there we go then. What was that? That was a 2 minute one, so we lost an entire second on that lap. This has got to be the last lap based on the fueling. 1.2 laps to go. Tyres down to about 50% on the front. Yeah, we need to pit this bad boy. 2.9 seconds ahead of Mr. Miazano. They haven't pitted, so they're now gaining on us by around about a second lap. We can't see him in the mirror. We're going too soon. Let's see if we can really commit to this last lap and really make some good corners. Try and keep it accurate. Very wide on the apex. The back started to slip out. We're up into third, pushing up to fourth. I've been taking fifth at the start of this rumble strip, down to third. Trying to keep that front end honest. It's tricky. We're on that rumble strip. There's the back end. Oh no. Oh. Get it together. Get it together. Calm it down. The car behind us. There he is. It's the Lamborghini. He is behind us now. He's up to 0.2. He's going to come past. We kind of messed that up, haven't we? That's shocking. Is he going to? Oh, was that the mistake we didn't want? Mr. Miazano's away. He's lost it as well through the apex. Great, we're back in front. Now we don't need him to interfere with our strategy. We're going to try and run as quickly as long as possible. We've had one corner, one straight, another corner messed up because of having to lift for him. We messed up by slipping it down to fourth, down to third. Come on, run that gravel. That's the way. Get it in tight. Run it out and wide. Get it in tight again. Got one more corner to make, and he's right with us again. He's coming on us. He's half a second back, 0.4. We've had the pit warning. Tyres are really done. Just like now, I'm going to reach for my drink as we go into the pits, so you can enjoy watching the pit guys. And they are lovely fellas. Not enough said about them guys during racing. They do a stunning job. I've known a couple of lads that have been and worked in Formula 1 teams over the years, and they're the most unassuming guys. It's an immensely difficult job. You travel around a lot. It's fantastic to do, but it is immensely difficult. You're under so much stress and pressure, and I generally know they're good at what they do, but you're travelling all the time. It's not all beer and restaurants. It's hotel rooms, late nights. It's a good job to have, but I don't think you do it for long. So there we go, folks, popping out the pits in 14th place. We have taken on 9 laps of fuel to the dot. The race time is 33 minutes remaining, and we're in 14th place. So when I ran this earlier, I actually came out in 19th, which doesn't make you feel good when you've thrashed all that way and you've gained 1 place. There they are in front. They're 5.2 seconds ahead, and we're 38 seconds off the lead, and we know those guys haven't pitted, so no drama. We have the ability to run faster in our outlaps because we've got less fuel on. We've only got 70% when we came out the pits, which is immense, because now we're going to run the best part of 9 laps. See what I mean by going wide out that corner? We managed to hold it together. We're going to run the best part of 9 laps as fast as we possibly can. We need to give it the beans. We need to be accurate, and we need to be pushing on. No mistakes, Jimbo. Second gear for this corner. Get down into the white. Push it on. Just about kept that inside there. 2 wheels onto the rumble strip. 2 wheels on the white bit. Run 2 into the grass at the end. Cut this one. There we go. You can use that curb. It's all there to be done. Into this corner on lap 14. Push it on. We know this isn't going to be really representative, but if we can do a 1:58 out lap with the lap time started from the end of the pit lane, I don't think we've done so bad. And if we can then get back into the 1:57s, because we've got good tyres, let's see where we are. 1:57 out lap from the pits. That's awesome. Now we can do 1:57s. Just cut inside and take that corner. First gear for this one. Second gear, the car doesn't want to get round the corner, so it's always first for me. diggity down. Oh my. Here we go. There's a good queue in front of us there, 5 or 6 cars. We're gaining a second a lap on them. We just want to keep an eye on Mr. Cookabun, Mr. Miazano, looking for their pit times. Beauvoir is actually 2 places ahead of us. Rubilar is actually just 1 place ahead of us. So look at that, they've actually overtaken us with the undercut through the pit. There's no drama with that because we know we're quicker than they are. Where are we? Lap 15. So that should be almost 30 minutes. There it is. We're 0.018, so almost 200ths inside our fastest time. And that's a 1:57.9. No, it's not. I think it was a 1:57.6. So Mr. Rubilar's got a 1:57.05 in there. So if we can start to push times down to there. There you go. Mr. Cookabun's in the pits with 3% of fuel. And he was running hard, so he's running slower and longer. He's on a single stop strategy. He's run halfway, so he can now pit and go all the way to the end. He's fueling. Let's see where he comes out. He's actually been overtaken there, I think, and just fell all the way down to the ranking. So if Mr. Cookabun comes out in front of us, we have to get past him because we know he's running a single stop. Cookabun's there, 62%. We're going to get past him. Somebody else has just pitted with 1% fuel. That's Mr. Mazzano. No, he's at the front, was the other fella. Got Cookabun there. We're well past him, which is great, and the crowd in front are fighting. So Rubilar and Lopez. Inostra's there at the head of the race. Mr. Miazano is there at the head of the race. They've got a pit as well. They've actually done really well to run this long, but we're a pit stop ahead of them, so... And that's what happens to you if you run the long game. If you try a single stopper, you end up nowhere near the front anyway. They all pit. We're ahead of the game there on this lap. They all pit, and then you struggle to get past them because they're quicker than you, and you're slower. So the last lap was a 1:57.6, which is good. It's still half a second off the target. We really want to get in that fastest lap if we can. Here's the good indicator of how well we're doing for a fast lap. If we come through here on purple, we don't. We're 8 tenths down, which is a shocker. 800, sorry, not 8 tenths. Back into this corner, second gear. Watch those guys give each other a shove. Mr. Lopez in the Renault RS01 gets knocked into the gravel and he's done for. And this is the tactic I'm going to employ, folks. I know I need to disrupt these guys. So I'm going to do it, and I decide to myself at this point, there we are in the purple on that sector. We're 111 inside, 0.111. So if I can, and I'm on the inside, I'm actually going to disrupt their race. I'm going to be dirty, but this is all or nothing, folks. It's me or them. I don't often do it, even though I try to treat AI with respect, like racing drivers. Those two guys got together. Look, Mr. Suswillow's gone to the pits. Mr. Inostra in the Porsche. Mr. Miazano's in, and they're refueling. So we're now up to 4th, and everybody in front of us is on the same strategy, but they've been on their tyres 3 laps longer. How do you feel now knowing that? You've got 6 laps of fuel left. Your tyres look like they've done 3 or 4 laps, and they've only done 3 or 4 laps, and you've got 3 laps better tyres than these guys that you're running with. You've both got a pit, you've both got 1 pit left. They're going to have to refuel the same amount of fuel you're going to have to stop to refuel to get to the end, and you're quicker than they are. We've proved it. So you know at this point, I knew at the 26-minute point that all I have to do is get past them, and once I'm past them, we're up. No mistakes is the next bit, and we've made 1 critical mistake so far, where we lost 3 or 4 seconds in that sector we've just been through. Let's see where we are on the lap time. We did a 1:57.3 last time. Last time out. So Mr. Hizal's actually put in a 1:56.777. He's in the Subaru GR3. So he's quite quick. And in a couple of races, I was running side by side with him, but he's too far off the front. He's around about 11th place. Mr. Hizal. So he's too far back, but he'll be in free air at some point. So he's got a quick one in on his new tyres. So here we go, 5.2 laps of fuel remaining. We haven't touched the fuel monitor at all. We've kept in power 1 all the way. No need to worry about any of that. And for this, folks, no rain. I don't think this is a rain track. So Mr. Matsunaga has gone in the pits. 5% of fuel left on his hards. I didn't know whether that was a second stop for him or whether he managed to get 18 laps out of one set of tyres. And unfortunately there I just had to squeeze Mr. Beauvoir out. And there's first place in front of us. So we've got 5 laps of fuel left. I would suggest these guys have got around about 2 to 3 laps left. So we're going to try and employ the same tactic again. We're running less fuel than they've got on board. We're up on our target time for this sector. They've got less fuel on board than we have, so they're lighter, but their tyres are much older. We've actually got probably, well, we know we've got 4 more laps in this, and the tyres will be less than half cooked when we're pitting. Here's the question, do you think we could pit without changing? Tell you what, we'll make the decision now. We're going to change the tyres and we're going to win the race. We're not going to look at running a record. So we're going to target a win. Without changing tyres, that's going to reduce the pit stop by 3 seconds. We just gave him a shove there just to make sure we got round the corner, and we're leaving him behind. That was enough to knock him off his perch as he went round the corner, and we're now making our way into the lead. And we've got 4 laps here that we can be out in the lead for. 4 laps in the lead, no trouble, nowhere. There's nobody in front of us as a back marker. These guys are all pretty quick. So unless we make a mistake, we're out front. If they pit and go long and try and go all the way to the end, they've got to take on more fuel than we have, so we're going to have a shorter fuel stop than those guys are. He's stayed out. He's a second behind us. We're in the 157s. We're still putting 157s in. Last lap out. Can you see that? And I forgot to shout and scream. Fastest lap, folks. 156.453. So we got fastest lap for the race, which is awesome. I wasn't aware of that, and I didn't even notice it in the race. Wow. Happy days. So we managed to really get the beans in. We've got 29% of fuel. 3.9 laps to go, and we're on lap 19. So potentially we could pit at the end of lap 21. Not 22, it's not 19 plus 3 because we're halfway around the lap. But hang on a second. 3.7 on the laps remaining now could give us that extra lap. So we could go, we could be out on the track on lap 22, finishing lap 22. If we fuel for 8 laps, that'll take us to lap 30. If we fuel to 9 laps, that'll be 31. And I know that's the target, 31 laps. Interesting. Let's see how we go. Let's see if we can bang in another decent lap. We were hitting the 157s again. We've got that really quick lap, the 156.453. Let's see where we can get to, because my confidence is quite good at this point. Tyres look really, really good, considering we've only got 3 laps to go. Is there the possibility that we could run these tyres all the way to the end? No, I've made that choice already. We're changing tyres every pit stop. We could probably run on that probably now. There's the thing. It would be good to try. No, stick with your original plan. We run a 158.5 there. We were off the pace by 2 seconds. We need to change the tyres and get back to that speed. But we are light on fuel. Tried this race with the BRZ 321, and that car's horrific. it goes really, really light with less than 25% fuel, and I couldn't keep it on the track, especially on worn tyres. If you're on worn tyres with that low amount of fuel, it just becomes extremely light. I feel the car needs 50 kilos of weight just to keep it planted. Here we go, try and get this front end tucked in. There we go, in third gear, up to fourth as you go over those strips. Lift as you enter this corner, then push it on and through this complex. 2 tyres on the left hand side, 2 tyres on the right. Drive for the line. We're 2 seconds ahead again of the car behind us. We're half a second off the target time, and the target is always to be as close to purple as we can. We always want to be running as fast a lap as possible into second gear, clip those rumbles and just run this corner out. What are we doing, folks? We've got 20 minutes left, so we're into the final third almost. And whilst we're in that final third, let's just catch where we are. We're looking at the start, we're looking at the list on the left hand side. Mr. Rubilar has overtaken Mr. Yamanaka. We're 3 seconds ahead, we've got 2.2 laps of fuel, so we're genuinely running lap 21, lap 22. We're going to have them in the bag. We're going to watch for them pitting. Mr. Beauvoir is in 4th, Mr. Fragger 5th, Gallo 6th, Lopez 7 and Cockabun in 8. Cockabun's running long. Here we go, Mr. Beauvoir and Robillard make the move. They are in the pits on 30% of fuel, so they've got 9 laps to go. They're going to be refueling to about 75%. They are going to be refueling quicker than I am because I'm on 15%. I tend to be down at 0, and I'm going to refuel to around about, it's 8 laps, so 70-odd% I think. I won't actually focus on the lap, the percentage of fuel. I'll focus on the lap percentage, or the lap volume, sorry. So I'm going to target 8 laps when we're refueling. Mr. Yamanaka, I expect to pit now. We're 3.4 seconds ahead. Just going into that corner a bit slower than I hoped. Just over braked a little bit. I would say the tyres are just starting to feel like they're going off. We're just getting the maximum out of them, but the car is light. So here we are, we're a second off the target time, 3.9 seconds ahead of the car behind. And I'm expecting a couple of pitters this lap round. Maybe Mr. Yamanaka, maybe Mr. Fraga, maybe Mr. Gallo, Mr. Cockabun. I kind of expect them all to pit. They could run longer if they wanted to. No major dramas. This corner here. That's another thing. We don't have that many variations on this track, so there's a pit lane there on the right hand side that we haven't utilised in GT7, have we? Because we used to have combinations on this circuit where we just ran this right hand in, but hey ho. Fuel monitors warning us about fuel levels. We're 3.3 ahead of the car behind. Mr. Yamanaka's going to run long, but is he going to pit now? Let's watch for it. Let's see if they do pit. There we go. Mr. Yamanaka's in on 21%, so he's going to put round about 60% in to take him to the end. Mr. Gallo's not pitted. Cockabun's not pitted. So I'm going to have to overtake all this lot at the end of this lap because we're going to pit the end of this lap. But we have to be quick. We're going to change tyres, 17 minutes to go. So that will pit us with 15 minutes remaining. 15 minutes is roughly 7.5 laps. It's running 2-minute laps roughly. The last lap was a 1:59.558. It's pretty poor, but it's under the 2 minutes, which I think is critical. If you're running 57.58s, less than 2 minutes, you're good. I don't think 59's great. I don't think 59's will get you to the end in first place, but hey ho. Let's see where we go. Run them tyres down that orange strip. Push on. 0.6 of lap left. So we're 8 seconds ahead of Mr. Fraga. 7.8. Let's see if we can keep that to the end of the lap as we dive into the pits. We ran along that curb there. Got a bit sweaty when I thought we might be in the gravel. But we're doing good. just noticed the car's just turned 199 miles. We might start to suffer the ill effects of a needed oil change. Oh, I had this car from brand new, so ultimately I need to check this car after the race and make sure that the oil's not gone off. We'll see. Here we go then. We're 7.7, so we've done well. Just going to take this early, get on the gas, and then hit that pit lane. I'm not braking, I'm going to hammer it all the way in. We took mediums, brand new set of mediums. We're on 2% of fuel, so look at the list on the left hand side. Fragger's gone past us. Gallo was 11 seconds back. Mr. Hazal was 17 seconds. Mr. Inostra's 21 seconds back. But Gallo's pitted, Hazel's pitted. We're fueling up now. We're looking for 8 laps. There's 7:54. 8.1, and we're out on 63%. Gallo's taken 62. Where's Hazal? He's dropped out the way. So we've come out in 9th place behind Mr. Yamanaka. What do we know about Yamanaka? He is on the same strategy as us. He was behind us by 2 seconds when he pitted. And we are behind him by 1. So we've taken on more fuel than he did. He's actually running a better economy, but his tyres are 3 laps worse than ours. And everybody in front of us, except for Yamanaka, has got to pit. So the man in front of us is the race. Oh, he says that, you know. I think Beauvoir needs to pit. Or does he? Is he running to the end? And these were the questions going through my head at this point. Are all the guys in front of us just the long runners? I'm pretty sure Fragger and Cockabun have got to pit. They've got to. I think Lopez is the first of the long runners, but I can't remember. This is the fantastic thing about this race. It is awesome once you get into it and you start thinking about the complexities of how this pans out. Well done to Panofoli and Ponafoni and the guys who've made GT. You might not have got a couple of things quite right, but this race is superb. For an AI race, it's very, very good. It's a real challenge, and I don't know whether they considered maybe starting us a little bit further back or a little bit further forward. I'm running it on hard. I don't think there's any need to run the game at all on anything else other than hard. I could probably, if we're talking the AA, well, Fragger's gone in the pits there. If we're talking AI, I'm wondering if there's room for one more level of AI, and if that's what GT have got to bring. Ooh, car on the right side. He's left the track. He's in the dirt. He's in the Supra Racing concept. That's us up into 8th place. Mr. Fragger actually pitted and came out in front of us, so he's short-filled. Cockabun's gone to the lead. He's 17 seconds ahead. We've got 12.4 minutes. 7 laps to catch him. 7 laps to catch 17 seconds. Let's count them off, folks. Let's count them off. This is going to be our first full lap out of the pits. In front of us is Mr. Fragger, so we're going to attempt to dispatch him. Hopefully before this lap's out. Let's get the gas going. Good tyres. Let's go. Let's go. Push on. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep targeting under 2 minutes, ideally 1:57s. If we can keep that going, we got this. And it's starting to get a bit gloomy. End of the day, sun's going down. Track temperature would be cooling. If they've modelled track cooling, that would be awesome. Track cooling would mean less grip and more slide, especially on these racings, mediums. Take a bit of dirt with that right hand tyre, that's the way. Mr. Fragger in the McLaren is just keeping us honest. He's just pushing along nice. If we can use him as a slipstream along the start-finish straight, get past him at the final corner, we will be great. We will be sitting pretty. That was the end of lap 24. 6 laps of fuel left. This is working out nicely. Get in the gas, get in the tow. These are all the things I say to myself as I'm coming around the circuit. Need to pull out and just brake in time. There we go. We've just braked a little bit early. We've bumped him on the right hand side, put him into the wall. No prisoners. He's AI after all. Sorry, Mr. Fraga. If you are watching and listening, if you ever come to this party and you watch and listen, it wasn't deliberate, my friend. I wonder if they do, you know. I wonder if the guys that, I know they're pleased to be part of making the game, etc, etc, but I wonder if they take it personally when they get rammed off. Be a bit like playing GT Sport, wouldn't it? Actually online, racing for points and getting rammed off, which is a shame. There we go. Let's catch up. Let's find out where we are. Tyres are just starting to look like the surface is now scrubbed. We're into the meat of the tyres. We're in 7th place. We've taken 8 seconds out of the leader, so we're at 8.8 seconds. We were 7 seconds down. We've just lit up a purple sector, 600ths inside the target time. The last lap out was a 1:56.610. We're still fastest lap of the race, and I've hit the gravel. Oh, that wasn't so bad. We actually put 2 whole tyres into the gravel pit and we ran the surface. That was a heart-stopping moment. Whoa. So, Mr. Beauvoir and Inostra in front of us. We're actually inside that sector time by 1.23 of a second. We get this right, we could potentially be sat on a 1:55. Oh, I can't see that. I mean, I didn't see this happen during the race. It can't be the case. Get in 4th gear, hit that curb, push hard, go on. If only we're just a little bit further up the track, we'd get the draft off the guys in front. It's a 1:57.9. That's unlucky. We actually were a bit slower than I think than we should have been. I've to brake too deep. But we have just caught up with these 2 guys. They're well within our reach. We have got 5 laps to go. Mr. Fraga is back with us. He's feeling a little bit miffed, I have to say, after how we dealt him the cards at the end of the last lap. Just running onto that rumble strip, borrowing a bit more than we probably should. No penalty though, so we're good. 4 cars I can see ahead of us. This is going to be a nail biter. It's going to take us all the way to the end if we're doing these one at a time. We're in 7th. We've got 5 laps to go. They're bumping and grinding. 5 laps to go. We're past 1. We're past 2. Holy moly. So we're up to 6th place. Mr. Beauvoir in front of us. We're getting blue flags, so there's lappers amongst us. That's what's causing the trouble, you know. We're 600ths up. Get into this corner. Do not put it into the gravel again. Keep me honest, but don't give me heart attacks. There we go. Nice and tight. Following Mr. Beauvoir. He's about the fastest on the circuit. Mr. Miazano leads, followed by Mr. Cookabun. Rubilar in 3rd. Lopez 4th. And Beauvoir ahead of us in 5th. Chasing us down. Mr. Inostra has now got past Fraga. The Porsche is raging. So 3 cars in front of us. Get past these 3. That'll put us in 3rd. 4.4 laps to go of fuel. We've got 7 minutes 30 seconds. So we're on for 4 more laps, it looks like. Don't think I'm going to be able to make any. Oh, we've run wide, but we kept it put in. We've done all right. What are we going to run here? A 1:57.1, so almost a second up on the previous lap. The guys in front are pushing and shoving each other off the track. They're bumping and grinding. We've got to rely on that, you know, for us to make progress. And this was the intention, you know. Earlier in the race we gave a couple of people a couple of shoves, a couple of bumps that put them off the pace, and it probably changed their running order. It probably put them together as we got to the end of the lap, and you've got to remember that as you're running this race. Genuinely interfere with them as much as you can without interfering with your race. Braking at the end of that strip on the left hand side, get 3rd gear into this apex, pushing up the hill. Now remember what happened last time round. We overtook 2 cars going in here. Mr. Beauvoir has already got past Mr. Lopez. We've dispatched him nicely. Cut inside 3rd gear, get on them rumbles, up to 4th on these rumbles, and then round this corner up to 5th before we hit the rumbles on the right. We didn't, we delayed it, hit the orange strip, We're now 4.6 seconds off the lead. We've got 3.5 laps to go, 6 minutes left. We're on lap 27, we're in 5th place. Oh my lord. Last lap was the 157.1, wasn't it? So again, if we can run a 157, keep these guys in front of us honest. He actually took a bit more than we did on that apex. Up to 6th, which is unusual. Tend to run it up into 5th, into this corner, but we kept the momentum, kept the speed, because we were using the draft off Mr. Beauvoir. Come on, he's just pulled out a wee bit there, 4.1 seconds off the lead. Dive into it, 4th gear, run over those curbs, get the power down, try and keep his draft, but I think we're 0.6 behind, so we are getting some very loose draft there. Not massively strong, braking before the halfway point between those signs. Clip that apex. Mr. Beauvoir's gone to the grass, so he's going to go wide. We can potentially get him at the bottom of the hill here. He's just got more traction because we're running traction control. So if he's not running traction control, he's got the advantage on the acceleration. We've just clipped that apex a beaut. Get the power down, run it hard. 3 laps to go. Less than 5 minutes. 4.2 seconds off the front. And there they are. 1, 2, 3, 4. All in front of us. We can see them. There's the targets. They're the ones we want to be taking on. We've overtaken every single one of these guys in this race before now. You've got it in your hands, Widow. Jim Bob, you've got this, mate. Push on. And we've just benefited from a queue of traffic. You see him there in the midst of those guys was a back marker causing the problem. He got the blue flags but distracted, and there's the guy. There's 1st place. We've gained 3 places there in one corner, and they're fighting like cats and dog behind. Hopefully they're just fighting with each other and not chasing us down. Mr. Cockabun in front of us, and I think he's in the Toyota GR Supra. If we can chase him down, we're good. What is it in front of us? I'm looking, I can't see it. That might be a VGT. That might be the RX-7 modern thing with the rotary engine. I think it is. And he's going to be quick and loud. It's a nice sounding engine. So 2 laps to go. He's 2.5 seconds up. We've got to get that back. We ran a 156.7 last lap. A 159 this one, and that was caused by the overtake that we had to make. We're still holding the fastest lap at 156.453, and for me, that is awesome. It's not off, well, I say not often. I've run this race 4 or 5 times, been nowhere near the fastest lap, absolutely nowhere near. So 156.4 for me is pretty immense with traction control. So just before we enter the last lap, we've got one more after this. Let's just remind you of what we did then. Start, we hammered it hard. We ran a long first stint. We went for as long as the fuel would last. We kept it on power 1. We didn't lean it out at all. We just ran it hard. We used as much as the tyres practically possible. So we were aiming for 14. We did 13 and we pitted, changed tyres, refueled for 9 laps. We did those 9 laps. We knew we had good tyres. We considered whether we would actually go and keep those tyres and run to the end of the race to try and save 2 or 3 seconds. Didn't think it was worthwhile, and here it is, folks, overtaking for the lead. It was always going to happen. We got better tyres. We're carrying the same amount of fuel. Have I outbraked myself? No, I haven't. Good, get into it. What we need to do now is put that guy in front of us, behind us, to give the guy behind in second place somebody to mess with and overtake. Sorry, just getting back to the overview of the actual pit strategy. We pitted after 9 laps then for the final stint, where we fueled for 8 laps and took new mediums, and then we've just pushed on. We put in a fastest lap around about lap 17 at 156.453. We've not been too far off that in a couple of stints. Our first lap out of the pits, first complete lap out of the pits, was pretty good, and we weren't that far off. Here we go, last lap, folks, in the lead, lap number 30. We're not going to be able to make the 31 lap, and we didn't fuel for 31 laps either, did we? We made that mistake, but we're aiming to win, not set records, so I'm really quite pleased at this point, and I'm just trying to hang on to it. I'm just trying to keep myself all under control, and I'm thinking, oh, there's the Corvette C7. Do like this car, and it's one I want to try this race with. I would like to try that race with this. What I've got to actually do over the next couple of weeks, guys, is get some grind on. I need to buy some cars. I've been dedicating myself to doing these videos, and I need a good 100 million. So I don't think you'll get that many videos. Well, let's talk about that actually. There's 2 more videos I've got to do that are really playing on my mind. That's the GT1 prototype races, the PP 950 at Suzuka, and then with the one at St Croix. I genuinely am finding those 2 difficult. I've got to do the other mission, which is the classic one round Alsace. I have a car to do it with, but it's not the quickest. There's another car I want to do it with that I don't own it, and I don't know it's in the game. I'm going to try and dedicate myself to doing it with one particular car. It's a classic. It's the eco car from some races, and if I can do it in that one, I'm going to post that video up, definitely. So just while I big myself up as we're coming into the last quarter of the lap, we're 4 seconds in the lead over Mr Cookabun. We're coming round to make the last couple of corners, and I'd just like to give a big shout out to those people that have been giving me encouragement over the last couple of days. I know you're waiting for this video to come out, and I've definitely stepped up to the plate and done this for you today. I'm feeling absolutely poo bags. I've got a sweat on. I'm buggered, but I'm going to have a good kip tonight, and we'll get on it again tomorrow. So here we go, through the line, finishing the race, 30 laps, which I didn't know when I finished the race until the next screen. But genuinely, that has me stoked. And that's a youth word for me, stoked. I've got a pussycat just fighting with my headphone cable. She's being a dipstick. Here we go, folks. A 1 minute 36. I'm 4 seconds ahead of the nearest car. Maggiore complete. One more left. One more test to do before the end. A little bit of a clip of the old replay, but we'll skip through that. And there we are at the end. And I'm looking for myself, and there we go, 30 laps. I'm thinking, oh my Christ, well done, Jean. You did well, my friend, and he used the BRZ GT300. Well, with that being the case, folks, thank you very much. We will see you on the next one very shortly. All the best. Take care.